All right, everybody, we're back. It is the spoiler-heavy review of The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 2. Thanks for joining me back on the show, by the way. If you're brand new to the channel and you've never been here before, I just need you to show a little class. How about this? We're almost at 70. By today, we'll be at
69, dude!
That's absolutely right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Ted. So we're going to be there. We need your help. So go ahead and show a little class. Just announce. We have an interview with Katan herself in studio. Katee Sackhoff. You can win a signed helmet from Katee. If you go over there, you can find out how. The link is in the description, and I'll even put an iCard right here so you can go check it out. All right. Speaking of Katan, speaking of this episode, this is why I thought, and I said this in my immediate reaction after watching the episode again, this should have been released with episode 1. I think this couples episode 1 really well. I think you could have even combined and made episode 2 part of episode 1 and given, you know, a season premiere of like an hour and whatever it was, 15 hour and 20 minutes. And I think that it would have served pretty well because it absolutely powers up that first episode tremendously, because the first one you're kind of left going, well, what's happening? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? I like the first one a lot. But I just thought this one really, really elevated the first one for the events leading up to what we got. Because the whole adventure, at least right now, and the whole purpose for Din is to get to Mandalore, us to find out what the hell's going on in Mandalore. Is it livable? What does it look like? What's happening? Well, we find out the answers to all those questions as Din heads on over there. Because Bo-Katan, she don't want to help him. She's just hanging out at that damn... She hasn't left. She hasn't left that throne. She's just sitting there. Who knows what the hell she's doing, but she ain't moving. But she moves in this one. Boy, does she, because, man, he takes off, and the first thing we do is we go back to Tatooine. And everybody, I think, because of how much time we've spent on Tatooine, they're like, oh, no, is this going to be a full episode on Tatooine again? Nothing against Tatooine, but let's move past it. But he's not there for very long. It's just we go to meet some old friends, and it's just incredible, though. It really is incredible to see what TV has been able to do. Because, I mean, that shot there alone looks as good as anything from, like, you know, obviously 20 years ago. But it right out of the prequels, it looks like, right? So, and there's this scene where the Rodian is basically talking to Amy Sedaris' character, and we just see she's up to her old tricks. And I thought this was a funny get. I've come to really enjoy this character. You know, when I initially started watching the show, and I still, when you go back, Amy Sedaris is Amy Sedaris, and it's a little jarring sometimes where you're like, I don't know if she's fitting into Star Wars, but the character has somehow fit into Star Wars for me because you just learned her personality. You learned, I mean, she's one of the funniest. She's a very, very funny, talented comedian. And you look at the relationship that she has not only with Din, but with Grogu, and where she has popped up in not only Mandalorian, but she popped up in Boba Fett, and the relationship that they had, the ship that she gave him, all that and more. So, by the way, so as we get to, we're on Tatooine, we see the old tricks where she's just like, yeah, you're going to need this ship, you're going to need this. Oh, fine, you don't want it? It's going to need a part. And she scams the guy, you know, and gets the parts because she's had him the whole damn time. The Jawas take it apart. Now, what I loved about this was how the little kind of subtle little throws to some canon stuff that has been there, but like R5, if you know him from episode 4, and he just popped up again in Mandalorian, you're like, what are they going to do with him? He said he's got a little bit of a backstory. He's been beat to hell. He's a scaredy cat. He don't want anything to do with anything. And I like that they set this up, and he's just been kind of hanging out there. The Jawas are doing their thing. They have their relationship. She's tight with the Jawas. She's been intimate with the Jawas, we found out. Not in this episode, but anyway, Din pulls up. I love this shot, by the way. I love the shot. See, I think that this episode did it well, because I'm with all of you guys, or not with all of you guys, but a lot of people who feel like they have been a little too reliant on not just Mandalorian, but Star Wars in general, and not even Star Wars. Marvel has been too reliant on the volume. And they very well might have been very reliant on the volume in this episode, but it worked for me, and it blended in with the stuff that the sets that they built and the way that I thought this was a perfect use of it. And I think this is a particular shot that works really well. I love this. I mean, I love this shot. Him just pulling up. She's just waiting now. She knows She knows it is. She gave him that ship. So she's ready for Mando to come in. And it's a great reveal as he's landing in. And she's like, well, where's my little buddy? And there he is. Grogu's popping up. And this is an episode to me that I think Grogu evolved a little bit too. Because as Grogu pops out of the ship and lands into her, we kind of get our first glimpse that, and it goes, I guess, hand in hand with what Favreau said about how long he trained with Luke, like 2 years afterwards, whatever. So he's not just the helpless little baby anymore. And we see this in this episode. He's able to do more stuff. And I think that that's crucial. Because if you just keep relying on Grogu being a little baby. So yeah, the evolution of Grogu was crucial to all this. Because yeah, you just can't have him be the baby over and over and over again. It just doesn't work. So they go here. They're talking, and it's one of these things where I still think this is why I like the idea of staying away from IG-11. It's like R5 serves that to me. That serves a purpose. Hey, I need somebody to help for navigation and all that type of stuff. You'll take R5 with you. I don't want to go. That story works to me. It's like keep IG-11 had a great story. He had a great story. He blew himself up because he saved everybody. He was this Terminator-like droid, but yet he took care of Grogu and he went out heroically. Don't bring him back again. It's like, why? Just because we want to get Taika in the mix? Now Taika's going to star his own Star Wars movie. What? I love Taika, but like, why are we catering? We don't need him. We don't need IG-11 because R5 serves the purpose. To me, anyway, serves the purpose. But here we go. So we got Grogu, and Grogu is, I mean, look, you can't deny that the thing is adorable. And now he's becoming more dangerous because he knows how to use the damn Force. But they got the droid. She goes, all right, listen, take this hunk of shit with you and enjoy yourself. And he's like, I'm not taking that garbage sack. And she's like, take the garbage sack, will you? And he's like, guys, I'm standing right here. But so they take him. And this is, and I guess this is interesting because I had thought at one point, I think that I thought it was, some people thought it was Navarro and they were not right. But they have this big celebration going on. What I realized after seeing this, and I dig this a lot, go back and watch that trailer that they showed, the first one, like the more extensive trailer that came out. I guess the first teaser was the more extensive trailer, I guess. All the stuff that they've shown so far, minus a few shots, and they do this a lot, is from episode 1 and episode 2. I love that. I love that we don't know what the hell to look for or what Easter eggs are coming or any of that stuff. It's already hyped up because the majority of stuff that we've seen in that trailer, go back and watch that first trailer that came out right after, was it D23? It's 90% from episode 1 and 2. There's like a few shots with like the other Mandalorians jumping out of the ship and a few other things that pop in there that are from other episodes, but it's a classic kind of Filoni trait, and I think it's brilliant. So they get the hell out of Dodge, man, and they're moving. Now we finally, this is why I said to someone, I said this is one of my, I love this episode so much. Somebody tweeted me this morning, well, what was it that blew you away? And I said, it didn't blow you away. That's on you. That's cool. But for me, the answer to that is we finally, after all these years, are going back and live action kind of Mandalore and going to say now what the hell it's become. And the idea, and Din's teaching Grogu about the navigation systems, and he's flying through. And it was this moment, by the way, that they're kind of going through before they come through the clouds. It's very Empire. There's fog, and it looks like it's going to be kind of a crash. But no, they pop through the clouds, and this is the kind of Empire moment that I was talking about. But and a very, instead of R2-D2, it's R5, and they're coming through this system. It looks, they're going to crash. They're going to crash into a swamp, and no, they pull through. But it's just a barren kind of wasteland. It's kind of crystallized, and as you saw from the first episode, again. And now I love the idea. They're like, I don't know if this thing is working or not. The atmosphere. Hey, Trashbot, go and check it out and go see what's going on. He's like, again, I'm sitting right here. Can you call me by my name? He said, no, until you earn your keep. You're a hump of slop. So he said, fair enough. And he bears his little ass out there, and he goes. And he's like, okay, let's see what's going to happen. Now, I hope some creepy cave trolls don't come out and attack me. Grogu's like, yeah, that's probably going to happen, but I'm sitting in here, and I'm probably gonna let one rip because I can, and probably frog farts or whatever they are. Anyway, so another shot to the navigation system, and now after a while, they're like, "Where the hell is Trashbot? I got to find this thing." So he goes and he checks it out, and as this shot it appears like 3 different times throughout the episode, and I loved it every single time. It's shot throughout the cave, and we really started to get into what Mandalore was. And as he's making his way through and discovering the city, and this to me, if you're a Clone Wars fan or just follow the Mandalore lore in general, this was like so devastating and yet so cool at the same time to see what we saw, like from the reign of Darth Maul and just everything that happened with Satine and just like the history behind not even, and if you want to go back even to non-canon, when you can dive back into the Knights of the Republic and the war that the Mandalorians had with the Jedi and like this the history behind it and how much it's like Rome almost. It's like it's just this forgotten kingdom that was thriving with these people, with just these great warriors, and you go back. It's going to make watching Clone Wars so interesting, especially after the stuff that Bo-Katan tells Din and Grogu in this episode. So that's the answer to your question. Why did it blow me away? Because you're taking all that stuff and all that lore and the stuff that I've always talked about with the books, of like the reason why I don't read them anymore is and I don't take it away from people who do, but like you don't get as rewarded from reading the books because they don't dive into it. But if you're a Clone Wars fan and that old school kind of paying attention to the Mandalorian lore, you get rewarded canon tenfold in this episode. So that's the answer to the question as far as why it blew me away. And then not even to mention the stuff that Bo-Katan winds up doing with the saber, the dark saber later on. But you get this glimpse. And then these guys come flying out. And this was so, again, very Clone Wars-y to me. It reminded me of the old Ewok movies, too. The idea of, like, what the Ewoks... You remember those Battle for Endor type of scene? And this is also very telling, too. Din still can't master this Darksaber yet. And it makes sense. And I'm sure you're going to get some people going, "Well, the woman can do it, but he can't." Yeah, because she's been using it for years. She's she's mastered it for years. Her family from the Sabine era, when Sabine gave it to her, she has been around this thing. She has known how to master it 100%. It makes all the sense in the world because this guy still doesn't know what the hell he's got and the power that this thing has. And I love the idea. And they said even when the armor was telling him how to use it and to go with the rhythm of it, he still can't master it yet. And he can use it. But he can't. But he's not an ace at it yet, and he takes out a couple of these disgusting beasts, and it's pretty. And it goes back to kind of that brutality. I love this thing. This is very, very Star Wars-y to me. Like I love the idea that these things have kind of just evolved to the top now because there's nobody around anymore, and it's kind of their land. And here comes this jerk off with a helmet. Get out of here, man! We're trying to watch our shows. And Din just stabs him in the chest and goes, "Tough. You got to catch it some other time, buddy, because you're dead." And then he gets R5 back, and then he heads on back with Grogu, and I love this realization here because I think this is a bigger moment than we're really giving it credit to. Is it's breathable. You know what that means? That means that I'm gonna go bathe my balls in the where I have to, so I get refreshed and I can be a Mandalorian again. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to find all my peeps, and I'm going to get them back here, and we're going to start Mandalore all over again because it's livable. And everybody who's running around fighting giant alligators now, they don't have to do that anymore because we have a home, and we're going to redo this home. That's to me what I got out of this, because it's breathable, and it also means, hey, Grogu, stop being a lazy little bastard and get the hell out of there. And he does. And they walk through and as we start to get this, we don't really know what's going to happen, right? And the idea this reminded me of like Force Awakens style too, showing like, because you don't understand how big the city is until they're flying down here. And I love that they don't have to worry about, like, how am I going to get Grogu down? I don't know how they got did the droid go down? I don't know. I think the droid stayed up top. Okay, good. That made more sense because I was like, how the hell did they get the droid down there? But they're on their way through, and like this is, I love the almost like the childlike nature of Din where he's a study. He loves. All he wants to do is be a Mandalorian. That's all he wants to do. And now he's here. Now he's at this place that he's heard about for so long, and he's walking through, and he finds this helmet, and for us, and I don't know. This is probably a question for Star Wars Explained, Alex Damon and Molly, and ask them. But like, is that helmet anybody of significance, or is it just to say like, hey, don't get too comfortable here looking at this helmet. You can try to figure out who it is, but Din just got snapped up. And this thing was really creepy. And Grogu's like, I'm getting the hell out of Dodge. And you're like, okay, maybe Din's gonna make his way through. And this was really creepy. This is the type of thing, by the way, that I think the evolution of what Star Wars is able to do in the prequel era. They were definitely in Attack of the Clones. There were creatures that were similar to this, and it played a little bit more towards the animation that we saw in Clone Wars down the line. But like, this was to me the evolution of what it could look like in more so live action. Because even when you look at the Attack of the Clones movie for Episode 2, it does kind of play a little bit more animated. This absolutely shows, that you can evolve those original kind of George Lucas concepts, and because this thing was creepy, man. This thing was really creepy, and it's like draining Din of his blood, and Din's like, okay, I'm definitely not going to get out of here. So Grogu, go look at that creepy eye and everything too. It's really creepy, and so it reminded me of like what I will say, General Grievous in the book. In the book, they a little bit more so again. What Grievous kind of came off a little bit more maybe like cartoony. This worked in the live action side of it. Anyway, so Grogu takes off, and he's moving towards he says, he goes, go get Bo-Katan. You got to get Bo. And he gets out, and he's making his way out. I love the idea that he's just hauling ass, by the way. He's hauling ass. And this thing jumps out, and we see this in the trailer again. And it's like, oh, I got you. I knew you were coming out this way, and I got you. He said, you ain't got shit, homie. And he tosses his ass with the Force. So that's, again, the evolution of Grogu. He's not a helpless little guy anymore. He knows a little bit more how to use his tools. And he listens. He pays attention. He knows how to navigate. He uses the Force. And Bo says as much. So Bo even says, okay, in order to get to me the way you did, you had to have used the Force. And it's exactly what he does. He gets his little ass into the ship, and he takes off. And Bo, she ain't moving. I don't know if she showered. I don't know if she has eaten anything. But she's just sitting there. There's no drinks. There's nothing. She got a blanket and a pillow. She got a remote control. I don't know. But she ain't moving. So I can't imagine the hygiene is too great right now. Because she hasn't moved. Or maybe she has. Maybe she just sits there. I'll have to ask Katie next time she's on. But she moves to the window because she's like, okay, you know what, Din? You got me out of my seat. I haven't moved in 33 hours, but I'm back now. And now I'm going to kick your ass because I told you, stay out of here. Ship lands. She's ready to kick that ass. And then she sees it's Grogu. She ain't kicking Grogu. It's actually what happened to him. So she gets into the ship and she moves. And you know Bo ain't messing around. And this is when you start to get more so from Bo. You get the shot of Mandalore again. You get her, and she's ready now. Now she's scrapping, she's ready. She's ready to go home. She doesn't think she is, but she's ready to go home. And as she goes in, and you get this idea, and again, it's being able to see Bo-Katan back on Mandalore and seeing this kind of, and again, why these episodes need to be longer like this. 45 minutes is good. An hour would always be preferable, but 45 minutes is a lot of time to do this. These 33-minute episodes, cut it out. You get to explore so much more and do so much more and expand on the characters and little choices that they make and conversations that she has. And she has like these certain conversations with her. She's talking about Grogu, and she says the same thing. And this is where you had to be pretty strong into the Force to get to me. And she sees it, and she's now she's ready. She puts on the helmet, and it's ready to go down. And I love these little certain shots here. And this is again where I think that the directing was really good in this episode. And I think by doing just little shots like this, as the droid is like, I ain't going anywhere. I'm staying right here. I'll watch. And we get to see, and this is where Katie shines, and this is where Bo-Katan shines. She is in the caves of Mandalore, and she's moving through, and she has these conversations about what it used to look like, and all that and more. And then these jerk off things come out again. She kicks their ass, and she's moving. And you get to see again. This is why Katee has so much to do. The good news, guys, is that the leaf blower is about to show up. So I know people have been wondering, will the leaf blower show up during the Mandalorian recaps? And the answer is yes. I believe by the time I'm done with this episode, he will have made a cameo. I can hear him. But nonetheless, she kicks ass. She goes in. She's got and it shows what it lets you know why Bo-Katan was not only the royalty that she was, because if you don't know about her lineage, which she tells you about with her family and how she was in control for a little bit. It was her sister that was the one that was like supposed to be the royal, and the sister wound up getting axed by Darth Maul, and she has always been like the warrior on Death Night was it Night Watch, Death Watch, Night Watch, and then you go back to this creepy dude who's just draining the blood out of how many Mandalorians we don't know. The Darksaber's on the floor. And when Bo picks this thing up, this is the moment that I was like, okay, this episode. Now, this was the difference between someone who knows what to do with this thing and someone who has no idea. And she is just, she just takes this thing to town, stabs it, and then, it comes back to try whatever the hell it is. But she finally just whacks it. And then the eye closes out. It was a great, creepy Star Wars moment. I really enjoyed what they did here. But then, you get Bo kind of coming around, having this conversation with Din after she's rescued him, and he's like, I'm going back. And you can also see that it's more about the religion that he was taught, where she's like, here, take this soup. And he's like, I don't know what this is. You don't know what that is? It's what everybody's raised on. It's like not knowing what a slice of pizza is if you live in Queens. A good Sicilian slice from VI Pizza. But anyway, she's like, so she's coming around, and he goes, look, it's not cursed. You're right. She's like, was I? I don't know. Pretty cursed to me. But she tells him, she's like, I'm gonna go with you. I'll go with you to the cave, and you wanna go bathe your balls and go do it. But you ain't gonna do anything. And she's starting to kinda, I think, come around to it and listen to it. I think she's gonna be a major part with helping Din get all the Mandalorians back. Because what does she say? This is why, again, it should have been coupled with that first episode. Because when you watch it back, you watch 1 and 2 just together. And she talks about how all her people just left. You have that Darksaber, they'll follow you. Well, if she's with him and he's got the Darksaber and she can pick it up from time to time and you can lead this whole revolution to get Mandalore back to what it is, it's a great setup. It's a great setup. And then, it just shows this is where she thrives. This is where she's living. Yeah, and she tells it, and we learn more of the back history. And this is where you as a viewer learns more of the back history. If you didn't watch the Clone Wars and you didn't know the last season of Rebels, and you don't know a lot about Bo-Katan, you're learning about her. That she was, and I love the conversation she has about her dad, and she's like, and wondering whether he's gonna be proud, and he's like, yeah. Din's like, he was proud. She's like, I know he was, and you learn a little bit more about her, more about the history, and I think it's also important to get more characters that you're gonna like root for besides just Din and Grogu inside of the Mandalorian. And she even says it as much, to Grogu. She's like, you didn't think your dad was the only Mandalorian, did you? And reading this Kree about how the first Mandalorian tamed the beast that became the symbol, like all of this. How do you not get blown away by this episode? I couldn't believe that tweet this morning. It's like, what blew you away? What didn't blow you away? There was so much inside of this episode that was incredible with the history. If you follow the history of, the thing I love about Star Wars in general is like, you feel like there's just so much history with different creatures in different places. And the Mandalorian culture is so phenomenal and fantastic. And obviously both Favreau and Filoni are such big fans of it. And then she's like, all right, go ahead. You want to go bathe? Go bathe. And he starts doing his little chant in the water, and he slips and he sinks to the bottom. You think something's going to... You like that part too? Yeah. Right. Okay, good. Here was his favorite part, the lead blower. So, she knows right away that something's dirty in Denmark, so she flies down. And this reminds me of something right out of a scene in Knights of the Republic, man. It really did. Finds him on the floor, picks his ass up, rescues him again, And we see the creature, which is amazing. He's still hanging out. He's still down there. He's like, yeah, I'm good. You're all right. She pops up, goes, let's get the hell out of Dodge. And then it's just this last shot of her just kind of looking out with her helmet. Rachel Morrison directs a hell of an episode. And I think it's like this, for people who are wondering, I don't know, but this is what I think. For people who are wondering, well, what the hell is this season about? I think it's the reformation of Mandalore. I think it's the reformation and combination of the Zealots and the other Mandalorians and getting them all together to revamp Mandalore. At least that's what I'm hoping. And what it seems like it could be. It's going to take a lot of work. But man, this was a good building blocks. And Katee Sackhoff shines. What the hell's going on over there? This is a disaster, guys. But Katee Sackhoff shines in this. I'd say this whether I knew her or not. She shines in this episode. And if you want to win an autographed helmet by Bo-Katan, go to that interview that we have and find out how. Watch the whole interview, and then you figure out how. And then she's going to announce the winner the next time she's on for the full spoiler on the whole season. But she shines. I think that, obviously, I like what they're doing with Grogu. I liked how they set things up. I like that we're the real setup with the Mandalorian culture. So I loved this episode. I thought it was one of the best episodes in a while for Mandalorian. I'm curious what you guys think. Did you like it? Not like it? Love it? Underwhelmed? Blow you away? Didn't blow you away? Go ahead and let me know exactly what you think in the comment section. Once again, guys, if you're brand new to the channel, you've never been here before, make sure you subscribe. We're almost there. 70,000. Today we hit
69, dude.
Once again, thank you again to Bill and Ted for that one. But yeah, we're almost there. And we're almost there. We need you guys to hit that button, get us there, show a little class, just announce. And for myself and no one else, because I'm the only person doing this today, that's the Mandalorian. Appreciate you. See you next time.